So, ladies, gentlemen, and the others. We begin. Agata will be in a few minutes, so we will begin in Belarusian stuff. Agata will join us. She is Polish representative of ZPP in Brussels. Please let me, first of all, give microphone to our dear participants, panelists, and let them introduce themselves in a short form.
I'm Aljaxandr Skrabowski. I dedicated my last decade to implementing these fluffy words, CSR, ESG, and other implementing in real life. So maybe some experience I can share today for you. Nowadays, I'm leading DŌBRA Venture Studio, Impact Venture Studio. So we have a bunch of mental health startups. You can find it on my profile and on LinkedIn.
Hi, my name is Darya Tsaryk. I am CEO and founder of Doctorina, and we are doing AI doctor. You can check on doctorina.com.
Hi, my name is Aljaxandr Chekan. I'm a partner and chief of staff at Palta, a health tech holding company.
Before I introduce myself, I would like to add that each of the panelists have a wide experience in serving our society in Belarus and abroad. Aljaxandr Skrabowski paid a big investment into social system of social entrepreneur startups, making startup weekend. Yeah. So it was a huge work, and Aljaxandr continued this in his current activity, DŌBRA Studio, which takes care of all impact startups field, mental health, and we will be happy to talk about that. Darya also took care of many sensitive topics in which Belarusian healthcare could not reach. Serving society in an enthusiastic manner with non-profit commitment. Aljaxandr in media and in media tech played a significant role in formation of independent journalistics in Belarus. My name is Aljaxandr Maslov. I'm a medical doctor by education. Now I build a venture studio which will be combining exiled Belarusian scientists with business and venture capital in order to set up applied science startups which will develop Eastern European ecosystem and we hope the global landscape. So we begin the panel, corporate social responsibility and impact tech. Shall business be humble servant of society, or shall business keep the profit investment balance with the ecosystem? How to stay profitable, how to concentrate on making money, being useful for those who do something else. Before we begin the discussion, could you please raise your hands who evaluates themselves as socialists? Please raise your hands, all socialists in the hall. And who thinks he or she a capitalistic one? Yeah, it's been filtered by the price of tickets, I suppose. So that's why let's stay on the track of how to be socially responsible, staying a businessman. Let's look on this aspect from capitalistic or responsible capitalistic point of view. And let's avoid speaking about public companies. Let's speak about private money, which still control everything, and which can develop their business according to their own strategy. We believe that it may be the most impactful, potentially, entities. So the first question goes to Aljaxandr Chekan. Aljaxandr, what do you think? Can social responsibility, can impact tech, and can the idea of making products which change the world be organizational glue? Can it be an instrument of internal PR? Can it help develop corporate culture? Can you pay less to those people? How can you protect these people from being rehired, etc.? Could you please share your experience in Palta and your vision of the industry situation? But I also invite other panelists to join the discussion.
Well, good evening, everyone. And quite a lengthy question, and the short answer is yes. Yeah, you can notice, like from the kind of market perspective and the work culture and compensation and benefits standpoint, like HR brand standpoint, you can notice in the market that it's not unusual that impact-focused or like ESG-focused companies, they pay less, sometimes significantly less. But you can also view it from the kind of other point. Look at it from the other point. Say the highest salaries are in gambling, hedge funds, and these kind of things, precisely because not only because of the kind of high margins, but also because not everyone wants to contribute to the building such businesses. So yes, to answer your question.
So you can protect your culture against gambling and authoritarian rehiring from 2x, 3x salaries when your team works on something great?
Well, we can say a lot of examples, like typically say companies and startups in climate tech, they pay less sometimes because there are like few sustainable business models, but sometimes because just people do care about, say, environment, and they want to contribute to something meaningful, and they care about the future generations, and they mean it. And in our industry, in health tech, we saw quite a few cases when people join our portfolio companies with a kind of mission, say, I'm fed up with whatever their previous industry, and not to make like finger pointing. And yeah, they say like, okay, I'm at the point of my life when I want to kind of contribute.
And how do you communicate with your team? How do you sell these values to them? How do you have some syncs, or do you have some periodics inside, like internal newspaper where you explain it, or it's automatically understandable and you think it works itself?
No, I think with key people, it's kind of just framing during the very first interview, very first conversation. I don't think you can create such a culture with a like corporate newspaper, because you have to act, not just communicate, and the act is the media.
Your product works for that. It changed the world and lives of millions women and men as well. So let's try another aspect. My next question is for Darya. Darya, what do you think your startup is using AI for? Maybe you can describe it better, but as far as I understand, it makes a longer hand for healthcare to reach much more people with affordable healthcare and making it more automatized. What do you think, and what do you see around AI as a great leverage, which finally can give the opportunity for startups, people, teams to change the world much quicker and with much more impact? What do you see? Can you please share your experience?
So yeah, basically we're doing startup products. Like our background, we were doing charitable clinics in Latin America. And during that period of time, our co-founder, Anna Platnitskaya, she saw the great demand on access to like basic medical knowledge from a lot of people. And even though we had a lot of, doctors offline in these clinics, people couldn't reach out for them. So they actually also didn't use, for example, Google, because the only thing they want to have is the contact of the doctor to get in touch with him or her via WhatsApp. So for us, Doctorina, it's a kind of tool to make accessible knowledge, medical knowledge for more than 2 billion of people who don't have this access today. And we see that AI actually is a kind of multiplicator during this process because we can multiply all the knowledge that doctors have. And we just need to make a good technology. We need just great, brilliant engineers and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think this is it.
Can AI be not only a responsible technology, but can AI maybe it can make some blur effect? Can it allow a lot of scam products to interfere with the really working? Do you see this trend now, or any AI works better than without AI?
AI works better with.
Does AI really help in each case, or does it bring a little distraction? If, for example, your product is deeply structured, it has healthcare background, but the user can be distracted by others who have AI on the package, but the quality of the core of the library is much weaker. How can AI be validated? Can we check the responsibility in this leverage to control the real impact, or we just need to stay on standard marketing points and analyze the KPIs and metrics?
Okay, I get it. So, well, I think that I cannot speak on behalf of other founders and other startups. All I can see that AI is just a tool, as a knife. For example, knife we can stab somebody, or we can make a toast with the knife. So it only depends on your inner ethics and morals. So, but personally, I don't like regulators, and because I think that regulations like making us step back in some and not be very brave in terms of our ambitions. But in terms of our product, we see that it depends only on technology, and if in terms of accuracy, it depends only on technology, how we develop it, how we use our evaluation system. And actually, it could be better than doctor, like offline, real biological doctor. And one of the major issue that we are working and dealing with is actually medical errors. That medical errors today are the cause of death of thousands of people worldwide. So it depends on people who are doing this, I think.
So few billion people more can receive the healthcare they could not receive it without AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So this is the real working impact. Aljaxandr Skrabowski, what about DŌBRA? You started a hard journey. You are one of the pioneers of venture studios in coming from Belarus, and you concentrate on social, responsible, impactful, mental health, and other topics which are great, nice, but can you attract money into that? Where do you get money? What is the problem of world capital attention to this field? Could you please share your pains and give us advice how to raise on initially impactful things?
Okay, it will be two parts of my answers. The first one, we're raising evergreen basis. Right now, if you are an angel investor, please contact me. We have a check as little as 50,000, and we suggest to you not some decision what startup is good or bad, but we are getting the issue, mental health, mental well-being, have a bunch of startups and some funnel history, so you will have good startup in the end of the funnel, but you can invest without choosing it right now. It's a first part.
So
yeah?
it's a kind of
just fundraising everywhere and every time.
Startup futures.
Yeah, yeah. The second part is what is CSR, what is ESG, what is impact. It could mean anything to anyone. Yeah. So maybe some clarification. When we had been working in Belarus, we were working more with CSR and sustainability, or ESG. Yeah, CSR, it's your goodwill, yeah, additional goodwill. It's not obligatory. It's you communicate more with charity. You communicate more with your local community, and you in a pattern of CSR. It's an additional goodwill of yours or your business. The second subject of our discussion is ESG or sustainability. There is when you don't do bad, but it's integrated in your business process. You cannot to do bad because you have signed some ESG or sustainability documents, or maybe you have your goodwill, but it's integrated in your business processes. Yeah, it's you can not communicate with your local community. You can communicate with a charity, but just only with your business process. And the third part of our discussion is impact. Yeah, and there is when it's the subject is inseparable from your business process. So as much you do good, as much money you earn. Yeah, it's a third paradigm of your activity. So when we have been doing it in Belarus as a DŌBRA Foundation, as a social weekend, as a global compact initiatives at that time, we were working with CSR and sustainability. Nowadays in studio we are working with impact as a subject. So as much we do good, as much money we earn. Right now we have a bunch of startups and almost 100,000 self-healing sessions we had right now through our spreading our application right now, and there is the impact. So some people in Australia, some people in the United States, some people in Poland have had some self-healing session from our app and had some impact on mental health or mental well-being. So as much sessions, as much money we can earn. So there is a paradigm how you can earn money and do more good.
Yeah, okay, but does it work? Are you successful in raising for that? What are your tricks?
Raising is always taught since. I don't know. We attracting more than 600,000 for a new entity. In this area, it's a good point. Have we another million? I don't know. we're isn't right now. Overall, not is around evergreen basis right now.
And
We have a chance.
From my experience, when we construct our venture studio, we received a great help from United States, from Pixero Innovate project. Sometimes grants and caregivers really help to kick off such things. But private money, of course, it's the sustainability way. So, Alexander, do you see some possibility for Belarusians to unite around this field, making some endowment or foundation for joint or cross help to finance such things? Maybe do you see such examples in other countries, in other societies? Does it work? Or this money cannot be shared? Every impact product fights for its own money. How it works?
I think we have to collaborate each other as a Belarusian basis, as an issue or topic basis. But I think it's not the right way when we are attracting money just from Belarusian community or Belarusian business. Yeah, it's a very close ceiling for us and for our activity. For the first steps, it's crucial for as a startup of Pixero or USD or European bonds. It's very very important as a first step of when you have no any credibility of your entity right here. But for further development, you must attract different sources, different investors, different experts in your community. And I think that if you will flagship this, that we are Belarusian after 2020, you lose.
Okay, dear panelists, what do you think? What is the proportion between impactful and CSR imitational projects? Which proportion of such companies and products really work? Do you have this experience or observations? Could you please share your experience? Are we really sure that everybody who is speaking about CSR and impact really belongs to this religion?
Yeah, in many cases, like it sounds like CSR in many cases is just like a corporate BS, and when the profits kind of fell, the CSR is the first thing that's been cut off. And as I agree with the classification that Alex provided, I love to double click on that. So the one type of companies is they use the CSR or impact or like whatever ESG agenda as a kind of marketing tool, and as long as kind of fits the narrative, the public narrative, they use it, but it doesn't really it isn't really a part of the business model. It's just a kind of vanity sometimes. Sometimes owners, owners of the company's shareholders, they use it for the kind of personal pet projects and so on. The second one is when the second kind of layer or stage, if you want, of companies, when the company acknowledges that every human being and every organization has by default a negative impact on the environment, say specifically on the environment, and they are trying to reach kind of this net zero. They are trying to be carbon negative, although it's very hard. And even Microsoft and Google, they give up for a moment because of the AI, and they burn like tons of new kind of new energy, and they're gonna fell behind their own sustainability goals. And the third aspect is when every economic unit or every unit of like output of the company has some positive impact on the world, on the environment. Say, of course, there is flaw, or I believe, for example, there's Rainbow AI is another good example of such a thing. When every install, every download of like every user of Flow or Rainbow or many other products, they kind of they multiply the positive effect on various things, from health to environment. And there are other examples like this German unicorn Choco. It's a delivery startup. They deliver food to the restaurants, not from the restaurants. And their mission is to eliminate food waste, because food waste is like 5 times, the food waste emissions are 5 times higher than the emissions from all the cars in the world. Like, you never thought about that. So I think when you inherently kind of own this connection, this bridge between the business model and like a mission and the impact, this works the best. And of course, that's coming like back to our first question. That's why people want to work in such companies.
So I maybe can add that there is no amount of corporate social responsibility that can help you if your product doesn't deliver, and there is no impact without growth, and there is no growth without impact, and impact is always like a result. For example, WhatsApp, Signal, I don't know, Tesla, they never call themselves as impact startups. So, and there is actually, well, like, what is impact startup? I mean, everybody is impact because we are doing something that can impact, like, both actually positive and negative, because impact, it's not only about positive. So, and I like actually this example with Tesla because it's actually not like about car. In terms of impact, it's about transition, statement of acceleration of transition to sustainable energy, where we have this mission and we have this result, aka impact, and everything seems like very logical here. So, yeah.
I think that when you do an impact, you can earn money. But when you do ESG as a mandatory factor, or when you do CSR, it costs money. We had many company and advertising commercials. When you're just watching your forces of watching your activity, yeah. Maybe some example. One fresh example: eco-friendly bullet. Is it ESG? Is it CSR? Is it good seen or not? If we suppose that war is continuing, yeah, it's all kind match with sustainability. But when we could speak about CSR, not. Another example, discussion in a world level discussion. Tobacco company was rejected from CSR activity maybe just 10 years ago. Let's suppose that 20 years ago, tobacco company can be awarded as a CSR company, yeah? But right now, some tobacco company in different country had award as a sustainable company. Is it right or not? Yeah, it's right as a place for communication, that a tobacco company tried to earn not originally on tobacco, just another brand that's less harm for health. But is it sustainable? No.
It's very sustainable business, Alex.
It's very
great retention.
It's very financial sustainable, but not in our case. So maybe another metaphor. CSR, when you earn one pocket and spend from the other. Yeah. When you do ESG, you're washing your activity before spending money. When you do impact, you earn money with impact, with it.
So if we call military tech defense tech, it becomes
tech.
a little bit more.
So it's just funny, but it's a good question. Is it sustainable? And it should be sustainable. Yeah, it should be, because we have any weapon right now in Ukraine that's a big catastrophic impact to the ecology, not just people.
Yeah, it's different aspects. Agata, we welcome you in Warsaw. You just came from Brussels.
From Paris, actually. I'm
From
very
Paris.
sorry for being very, very late, but I got a severe delay on my flight.
It's a good advertisement of this conference. What is the weather in Europe?
Better than here.
What is the weather in the rest of the Europe? As a representative of ZPP in other countries of European Union, what happens with CSR Impact Tech there? We come from Belarus. We have a lot of will to help, but sometimes we are not very well acquainted with traditions and standards. Let's please speak more about private companies, not very public, which are more religious things, but let's speak about those who can be more or less free to act, and what happens and what shall we use in our future planning now?
Okay, thank you. That's a very, very good question. Allow me then go from the bigger picture to a smaller picture to practice. So the bigger picture here would be that if you look back in 2010 and 2011, if you were visiting a lobby of a large company, you would see around reports then being called a code of conduct or a conduct of a good practices, and you would see it in many companies globally, especially from the US perspective. Those companies would have such a code of conduct. But then what started at the global and the EU level, at the global level you had encouragements to run your businesses more responsibly from human rights perspective, from the environmental perspective, from the labor perspective. And you see it in the UN guidelines, you see it in the OECD, obviously you see it in the International Labor Organization practices and the recommendations. And then things started to happen also at the EU level. So in 2010, when you see the beginnings, to 2014, when you actually have the NFR directive, so we are in 2014, and that directive actually is the first international law measure at the EU level that is encouraging CSR. And since then, not many things were actually happening. There were the discussions. Some countries at the EU level took 10 years to implement that 2014 NFR directive. But let's be clear that the directive was applicable only for large international corporations, large companies. We are not looking at startups. We are not big. The tech in general back then was not in the question. We didn't also talk about AI. So 10 years, the companies are transposing the directive into their national legislations. And 2022 comes, and we have the big CSRD directive that is being worked at. And now, actually, it's transposed to the local legislations. So what we see is that not only big companies, but also listed SMEs have reporting obligations. And that is entering in 2025 for large companies already now from January. And then the listed SMEs that are somehow, for instance, in cooperation with that larger body or listed, they have the reporting obligation already from January 2026. So when we are looking at this, how it was changing and how non-financial reporting was changing, yes, we do see a big shift. Because before we are looking more at encouragement, Now it's encouragement, and we have actually a legal encouragement as well.
Sustainable and non-sustainable encouragement. Okay, let's a little bit we have some time. Let's make a small shift to the such topic. Okay, the business can support the society also by paying taxes, just acting good, etc. Having a lot of employees, making them happy. It's also a huge impact. But what can private sector do for third sector, for non-profits, for public things? It's a blitz question. Could you please share 2-3 ideas, very short, just in a blitz manner? What can business do for third sector? The best ideas, practices, as you think.
It's a general question.
It was a general question, but...
Okay, so you're looking at me. You want to start from me then? Okay, then. I would say that it's education and skills. I believe from what Dmitry was texting me about what other speakers were mentioning today, I would say sharing the knowledge and experience and building skills. So that would be the most powerful, I guess, vehicle that we can say.
Maybe the other panelists will add something?
Yeah, I would agree with education and the kind of natural extension of that. The natural extension of skills and expertise is probably some infrastructure, some piloting, some things that are not necessarily kind of commercial at the moment, but they have some potential for the impact or to commercialize in the future. Because once you commercialize something, you can scale it in this world. So these kind of things.
Well, when I was doing charity, I was like a lot. I was asking for money. So, I mean, from the point of view, I mean, maybe it's Belarusian specific that there are a lot of difficult issues and some sort of humanitarian crisis in many social parts of lives of a lot of people, animals, nature in Belarus. But I think that from point of view of business, like showing their interest, its interest to the third sector, because curiosity and interests could be a good point for discussion, starting some sort of negotiations, and maybe good partnership will arise.
I think that share business practice with charity organization or any social organization is a main part, as a mindset, not just as a practice for operational business, but as a mindset. Because when we had been doing it in Belarus, we directly was involved in 440 projects for 8 years. Yeah, and all of them we mandatory educate them to do this as a business, but they have a chance to reject this proposal at the final stage. Yeah, and stay just a social. But even in those cases, it will be very helpful for all of these hundreds projects. Because mindset, you change mindset. You're not just asking the money. You're not just know how to do it because you're expert in this issue, but you think how you survive in this area, how you attract attention, and how you can be sustainable in this field in the first time.
Agata?
Yeah, sorry. That's very interesting of what you're saying. So maybe to adapt on that, let's look around. Because also it's about building around us in the region around our business in the community. So on one hand, these are the obligations that we were mentioning, but on the other hand, there are also the benefits that you can bring as a business to the community that you create. It can be community of your employees. That can be the community that your business is functioning in. That could be the regional aspect. So in that point, to reach out and to also communicate and inform of what you're doing further so that more people can benefit, not only in your closest surrounding.
So if we upscale this idea to national level, we can speak about countries' regional responsibility.
You can, even if you look at the European Parliament's report, it's not very recent, it was before CSRD was actually drafted and implemented, but they were looking on how countries are doing with CSR encouragements and obligations, and how countries were dealing with the obligations that were coming from the EU level, and where they were placing different obligations or enforcing like due diligence, for instance. So how on the country level you're solving the requirement.
Okay, it is. It's interesting that every one of panelists mentioned education as and good practices as a great lesson which business can bring to third sector. So, is this education about something? Very short question. We just have a few minutes. Is it about some doing good practices, or it's about something which third sector still does not understand? For example, culture of competition, culture of hard fighting, and understanding that your competitors are necessary for your evolution, or something like that, or it's just a general education about efficiency?
Well, I would turn the question, because yes, there is education from the perspective that you can do lots of good by expanding and exploring of how you can benefit with sharing your experience. But also from the business perspective, you can actually benefit what we see at the EU level from communicating broadly to the stakeholders. So let's have in mind, for instance, the European institutions, of what are you doing and how you're doing it. Because it is improving of how you're being seen in the European environment. It is improving from the standpoint that maybe your solutions will be applicable somewhere else. So you're a role model. But you're also entering in the position where you can be a responsible partner in learning from when it comes to your experience and how you see policy. So it's also helping you to build your own position within the political framework.
Okay, thank you. We have a few minutes for questions. Who has really okay, please. We need a mic.
I would argue that any business that ever existed to exist is socially responsible, because otherwise it's not called business but racket extortion.
No, it's okay, just keep it close.
Yeah. But coming to the point of CSR, in your opinion of each panelist, is there need to be more or less legislation, so something the company has to follow, does it want or not, or less legislation in order to improve social responsibility of a business, because business is people, it's not the buildings? Just yes, no question.
Thank you. I think I have a good sitting here. Yes and yes. Even now, when the hearings of the candidates to the College of Commissioners are finished, we know that there's going to be a commissioner at the EU level responsible for simplification of regulations. So his job will be actually to make sure that what we already have is more suitable for business and more transparent. So yes, definitely. We do need more simplification of the regulations and having them more transparent and easier, because of the recent studies our cooperation we had in a Stop Bureaucracy initiative that we were a part of just 1 month. We know from our colleagues from Austria or from Germany that in their SMEs, it's they usually take a job of one day for one person in a week just to meet different administrative and reporting standards, which is a lot.
Yeah, and I would like to add that there is a big clash between AI and, for example, FDA, Food and Drugs, and other regulations which regulate. We have a last question.
Yeah, thank you. For the innovators in this room. 1, 2. Thanks. For the innovators in this room, I think CSR obviously creates challenges. There's internal within the management, decision, strategy, all of this, but there's a lot of opportunity that comes with it. We saw pitches today even in which some of the major selling points are reduction of waste in supply chains, or addressing in food chains, in getting food to restaurants and making sure that the world is frankly a better place. We talked a lot about AI and the ramifications of AI, what that's going to do to labor forces. What opportunities, what areas do you see as maybe being places for this group to look to that they can work towards making the world a better place and bringing the business experience and principles and motivation they have to do so?
Corporate social opportunities.
I think all the topics you just outlined are like very good examples. And as a specific one, like at Palta, we are working on the thesis of a venture fund. Like the working title is AI for Good, and by good tech, but by good tech I mean health, education, climate, financial inclusion, and these kind of things. And yeah, we see a lot of opportunities and a lot of need in this kind of changing world. And we also believe that it is possible to create a good business case, because while the others are building the AI infrastructure, it will require, or like we will require AI verticals. So now we have platforms like foundational models, and in the same way like App Store and Google Play were built, there will be a lot of different things on top of that. Maybe not like millions, like it was with the platforms, but quite a few, and we want to contribute in a way that to support and finance the most impactful. Yeah, is it like socially responsible or not? I don't care. I just want to make sure we contribute to this like positive change.
Okay, Darya, or does somebody? We are out of time, so thank you everybody for sharing. It's a tough topic, CSR. When Belarusian entrepreneur hears the word responsibility, he starts thinking, is it administrative or criminal? So for us, it's a traumatic thing, but we managed a little. Good. And now, Dmitry.
Thank you all, and let's give the applause to our friends.